In the Premier League, clubs go about their business very differently. Some like to just throw money at it, and then some like to try and be a little bit smarter. And amongst them smart clubs, like Brighton, I've got to say, and Brentford, is a strategy what we film nerds like to call the Moneyball tactic, which comes from baseball, which I've done on the channel before, and it is finding hidden gems with brilliant stats to replace better players who can sell for profit. I tried it with Brighton and Brentford last year, and guess what? It returns again! As today I'm going to rebuild Brentford using some very different methods to usual. As yes people, Moneyball begins, and here it is with this Brentford lineup in the Premier League. A very good lineup, it's got to be said. And this tactic's been used before. Josh Coyote is the biggest example. Watara's just been signed. He got Thiago. He replaced Tony so well. And why did he replace Ivan Toney so well, you may be asking yourself? Well, when you look at the stats of Ivan, he's got decent shooting, decent physicality, and Igor Thiago matches that because his highest stats is shooting and physical. Despite him being 5 years younger, and he's got plenty of time to actually grow. As let me explain the rules, because I've got to put this into a bit more FIFA terms. The rule is when I want to get rid of a player, I've got to sell him for profit more than he actually arrived for, and the player I am replacing has to be replaced by someone lower rated despite having better stats. As for example, Igor Thiago is still lower rated than Ivan Toney and doesn't have better stats, but I'm making it harder for myself in this rebuild, and plus we can use the players we've already got here, as we do have to survive in this Premier League. And I haven't gone ahead and used life points because I want to show you Moneyball in action, or my style of Moneyball on this channel. It's different to last year's, as 46 mil is immediately into our budget, but Moneyball isn't just about signings, it's about profit and it's about growth. Hence why I've piled in with coaches, because we've got to improve the players here, which is this group of lads. And I think our defense doesn't really need to be worked upon. Kelleher and Collins, the Irish lads, then Lewis Potter, maybe not defensively savvy, so that could be our first replacement actually. As I was thinking Jordan Henderson, but there is Yarmolenko at the side of him, and then down here on the bench we've got Matthias Jensen and Vitaly Janelt, who tore my club Grimsby Town to shreds when we played them in the Carabao Cup. And I am going to have to change their positions, as Jensen's going to take a while, but Vitaly Janelt not too long. And I am not going to dance with the tactics here, because I am going to stick with Keith Andrews, because he's still the manager. I'm playing as a board member, and I think him, despite being a bit young at 24, Keane Lewis Potter has to be our first change, because he's got 70 defending, 64 physicality. So I've got to look for a player less than 76 rated, but more physical than Keane Lewis Potter, who did sign for Brentford for almost £20 million. 19 million actually, in fact, and I don't even know if we'll make that back. We actually can't sell him, and I don't see Leeds United spending 20 mil. No, they won't. I hate this graphic. Now I can finally see, and they're not going to pay it. The negatives of Moneyball. We've got to make profit, as I'm going to look at the DMs here. As Matthias Jensen only cost Brentford £3.8 million and can't play DM, so I'm going to go for someone better. I have to go under 77 rated, and I want someone with better defending and potentially more physicality for that DM role, as 9 million offered from Bournemouth for the 29-year-old. That is accepted. He is sold, and now we need a DM with better physical stats and lower rated than him, so 77 and below, so we can't go and get the big hitters. We've got to be really smart about our business, and I do want to try and get a younger player in to grow into this squad, as this is the man I always had in mind, Ardon Yassari, but I can't really get him. There is Christian Ordonez. Ibrahim Suleimana from Bologna looks pretty good, but we've also got to try and survive in the Premier League, as do we just shop in the Prem? There's Romeo Lavia not playing at Chelsea, but he's going to cost us £23 million. We've got 54 million. He has better defensive stats than Jensen. Oh, but one thing I've just realized, he's 78 rated, this guy. I'm going wrong again on the search for players. Has to be below 77. Okay, third time lucky. I don't think I'm going to be doing this in the future, being this unlucky with signings as Jean Groxtia. He's lower than 77. He's only 73 at 22 and has decent physical stats, so third time lucky. We bring this man across to Brentford FC. So a 23-year-old with 73 defending, 81 physical. He is a lot better than Jensen was, but now the challenge gets even harder. Because if you didn't see, we had to pay his price tag. I did put strict transfers on, so 12.6 million. If we want to get someone better, we have to sell him for more than that. As Lewis Potter, I still want him out. Can we get 20 mil more for him? The team's looking quite nice. I like the wingers. I like Damsgaard. Well, no offense to him. I like everything but that hairstyle plus. Just a little joke in there. And then we've got Keen Lewis Potter, wanted by Whitecaps FC, which we can hopefully sell him to. And I did loan out an Hickey to Mallorca. Also, Yahor Yarmolenko, because another player that could leave is Jordan Henderson. -3. I need a good passer in the midfield. So if we could get someone lower than 76, but with higher passing than 77, that would be brilliant for us, as we didn't even have to use live points, and we finish in 11th in the Premier League, 2 points behind United. The lack of draws doing as well. I thought we'd really be in a relegation battle, but it's Burnley, Leeds United, and West Ham in trouble IRL, going down. Don't believe it. Season one without making any signings. I mean, they are currently in the FA Cup in real life because the competition only just getting started. Beat Tottenham, beat Norwich City. A very decent run without any huge teams to win the FA Cup with the Bees. In the first season as the Carabao is one they could actually still win as well in real life, but in here, beaten by Birmingham in round 3. Bit disappointing. And goal-wise 20 for Kevin Schade, so it's going to be hard to actually replace him. And then Thiago with 13, Ouattara with 12, Henderson with 10. A player I actually do want to replace, and obviously it's going to get more difficult as the save goes on. Him and Keen Lewis Potter have to be sold for profit. If we can go ahead and do that in Season 2, that would be perfect after a trophy in Season 1. But if you want to see more trophies, make sure to subscribe. And leave a like, of course, as now, them tactics did work in Season 1. Not the Premier League, however, so I do want to come out of our shape a little bit more. With Ouattara scoring enough goals, but I'm going to make him an attacking winger. We know Schade scored enough, and Henderson is very deep in that way he plays. As I said, I'm going to focus more on the passing stat, which is at a 77, so to find someone lower than 76 with decent passing is going to be difficult, and Lewis Potter's going to be rather easily, because I need someone as a defender with over 67 dribbling, or defending, sorry, I was looking at the wrong stat, distracted by the 6 and 7, as Rico Henry's the same, so just a physical left back required, and £20 million profit to be made on Keen Lewis Potter. Not going to be easy, but at least Jordan Henderson was signed on a complete free from Ajax, and because he was in the starting 11, Bertani Janelt, despite changing to a 78, we still need someone lower than a 66, or a 76, sorry, thinking of all the numbers is messing with my head, as Keen Lewis Potter, that is still not the 20 mil we need to be able to sell him and replace him, so I'm going to have to talk to Aston Villa, as 20 mil is accepted, so hopefully we've made that profit, albeit a small profit. And now Keen Lewis Potter goes out and a left back has to come in. But another rule I forgot to mention is in this save we can never spend over £30 million. Yes, that is an objective because Moneyball is never about spending high. Dango Ouattara did cost them 42 million when he made the move from AFC Bournemouth, and I thought myself that was a bit much as Jordan Henderson is leaving the club, so someone higher than 77 passing, lower than 76 rated, and a left back lower than 78 with over 67 physicality. This is confusing, but Moneyball, it's a tactic that works in the Premier League, and 103 million. Before we make our signings, let's check our current team and team objectives, as Keith Andrews, the want him to fight for European places, finish in a semi-final of the Europa League. We got through the cup, and that's probably where the big budget comes from. Also, I know I've got to change a position around here. I need to put some drills on, but Ouattara to a right mid, and Tony Malambo to a cam, who looks like a Moneyball guy. I didn't even have to sign myself. And Yarmolenko, one for the future, which will soon be upon us, and Gustavo Nunez, a Brazilian I'm not thinking about. 4.3 million, only 20-year-old, an offer from Real Madrid. However, I'm rejecting it because A, I want to keep him, and B, he's Brazilian, which is a theme team I want to explore. Igor Thiago is the same. And if there's a Brazilian CDM we could sign, there is Jorginho Costantini, but not great passing, same as Moscardo, only 63 passing on the defensive midfielder. And obviously we need someone better, as the other best is Andreas Santos, but 22-year-old. Already 82 overall. It's going to be so hard to find a CDM with over 77 passing, lower than 76 overall, and this man does match the rating of Jordan Henderson's in a 76, but he's got an in-game face, and I think you guys will let me off. Now, we're a European club. Despite being the same rating as Henderson, Ivan Ilic has 79 passing, and yes, isn't a CDM, but it's impossible to find a CDM with passing like that, and Henderson used to be a centre mid, and he used to be clearly over the rating of 76. It's only because he got older. This man is lower rated than Jan Elt, and does cost only £10 million, so will be utilised, as we're going to get him on the CDM drill, 65 weeks. But when you see his passing stat, it's 79, he's got 87 short pass, which works out perfectly, so him next to Groxtia in the midfield. He's a left footer, I didn't even realise, and this man's a right, so that works out perfectly. With the left back probably being easier, because 67 physical should be easy to get higher than, and I am going to go for a youngster, because I think I've got choice here. Then again, we are competing in Europe, and I might want to go outside of it, or outside of the main leagues in Europe, because I kind of want to find myself a hidden gem, with none in the rest of the world. I thought that could be a good thing to use, but no. But let's still stick outside of the main leagues. Let's go to the Liga NOS. As Samuel Dahl is a young player, he's lower than 78, he's got higher than 67 physical, and can make the move from Benfica, despite being on strict transfers for a high fee, to try and help the Bees compete in European competition. 18.5 was steep for that left back, but still £119 million is left in our bank account, so this Moneyball tactic is working. Obviously, it's about making money for the board, and it looks like Ilic hasn't really played much. We've got Dahl into the team, who has started. The rest of the team growing very well as well, but I don't like it's our signings who are the lowest, like Groxtia, who we might have to replace again, Ilic. I'm bored of going for DMs though, I want to go elsewhere. With our first team being pretty good, we've lost Damsgaard for Carvalho, but then again on the bench we've lost, I think, a few players here as well. I don't see any strikers down there on the bench, but then we've got Kelleher as the highest rated. We could make Shard the backup striker, but then I do want to get another backup striker anyway for Igor Thiago, as let's change positions. Yarmolenko starting off, and we've got Ouattara going to the right. I think our wingers have been spot on in this save. With both of them the top scorers, we've got 28 from Kevin Schade, we've got 18 from Ouattara, and then we've got the big man, Igor Thiago. Well, he's not struggling, but I do want to get another player on the bench as a striker who has to be lower than an 83, but then decent pace, higher than 74, I'm going to say, as we've got no other striker to compare him to. So yes, we've got to maybe not sell Igor Thiago, but get another striker in using the Moneyball approach, as we're going to keep on going with the Moneyball technique. And yes, it gave us a cup, but it doesn't give us a Premier League push, because it's 10th position this year, better off than last, but still not up there, and the Community Shield is lost to Manchester City on penalties. Still, we've got a lot of cup competitions to run in, as, oh my days, quarterfinals of the FA Cup. We almost went all the way, only losing to the eventual winners, Newcastle. With the Carabao not our thing, we lose to Championship Ipswich Town. However, that's not really what matters, because now we need to win the Europa League to get in the UCL next year, which I would love to do, and we do go ahead and win the Europa League group stage, or league phase I forget to call it. We beat FCSB 4-1, then Wolfsburg, before going into a semi-final and just losing to Villarreal. They outscored us to win the tournament, so we've lost to two actual tournament winners. We've made 100 million in profit, and we've got ratings higher in the squad, as next season a backup striker, and then I believe we do still go for a cam to improve this team, as I did include all of the release clauses for our current players, which is usually a thing in Moneyball, in order to make the profit the team desires. So Mikkel Damsgaard, he did get purchased by Newcastle, and Rico Henry's just gone. to be the backup at Manchester United. Good for him. Good for him. Leaving us with this squad. And yes, I did say I want to focus on Cam, which means less than a 79 overall Carvalho is needed for this team. But I do want to try and up the stats in the shooting department. I want a Cam with over 74 shooting. I want a striker lower than 84 with over 75 pace. And that sounds easy, but obviously we can't spend over 30 million on one player and a right mid, who I'm going to compare to Gustavo Nunez, as I want someone lower than 73 but over 73 dribbling on his card, or what will be his ultimate team card. So we've still got to be careful with the prices we pay. As yes, just a striker. Maybe I do change Ayer back to a centre-back, because I think he is better, and we do have to sell Carvalho to get someone better than him. And he actually cost Brentford £23 million from Liverpool. And I don't feel too worried with Moneyball at the club, 22-year-old as a backup. But I do feel worried because the only bid is less than 23 million from Angers over in the French league, and we're going to have to squeeze a little bit more money out of this side, which they walk away from. Okay, so it's going to be hard to sell Carvalho. Then again, Sevilla are the next club to bid in, and they should have a bit more money to spend. And they do. They're going to pay 24. I believe that looks like a bit like Thomas Frank, our old manager. So that is a huge sale, and we're going to make a big bid. Less than 30 million, of course, for his replacement, as I'm going Cam first. Someone higher than 74 shooting, of course, like I did say, and there is Julio Cesar Enciso, used to be at Brighton, and is 79 rated, so just on the borderline of getting signed. And I think to make this challenge a bit harder, I'm going to say no to him. I want someone lower than 79, despite being in the Champions League, and I've gone ahead to Lombardia. Valentin Carboni. Now, if we can get him cheaper than 30 mil, his shooting stat is 76, he's lower rated than Carvalho, and he is younger. The Argentine can try and support the Brazilian, and we've managed to do it. We've squeezed him in just about on our budget as he goes into the team, and I really don't like the growth in Ilic. This defensive midfielder, he's 26, I believe. His age has just turned. He's slow, he's left-footed, but he did fit the Moneyball philosophy. Maybe if we could sell him in the future just to get our money back. I think that fits in with Moneyball. And play someone like Janelt or Yarmouk, we will be just fine. As I did talk a big game on getting a right midfielder in, I think I'm going to leave it for another season, because Nunez, I think I'm not going to loan him out. I'm going to use him on the bench. And I'm going to focus on striker, where we just have to be below 84, above 75 pace. And I like the South American theme. And I've got just a player from a minor league this time. A player I love using, and I always like to take the chance when I can signing him. It's Kawa Elias, who's 77 rated. Definitely got some pace and Brazilian. To sit on our bench as Thiago replaced Tony. And then in the future, if Thiago actually does leave, Elias can replace him. And what did I say to you? It's just as much about coaching as it is about currency. We have lost a player, but Pert Harris has filled in for Ouattara, the most expensive ever Brentford player. We've got Keller to a 91. On the bench, we've got Kawa to an 81, Milambo to an 82. Obviously sharing some game time with Carboni. We've got Janelt. We could change for Ilic to make this all over 80 rated. Apart from the man we obviously lost, but look how much Ouattara grew. Yes, going to a rival, but making us so much money. And that obviously did come from a release clause as well, as we've never spent over 30 million. We've got Jean Groxter growing, as well as Yarmouk, who I didn't see, probably further down in the reserves. And come on by now, Ilic. He changes to an 81. Finally seeing a comeback in that position that we desperately needed, as goal-wise, Igor Thiago scores a lot, same as Milambo, and shows that Moneyball did work in the past for Brentford, and it's worked here, getting the Bees flying into the Champions League places with 75 points and only 5 defeats. We looked entirely comfortable, and do you doubt us in our comfortability? We have built this club, and we built them to a 5-4 loss in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. But hey, Moneyball, I'm going to have to do this in saves that we just organically do without making them a Moneyball video, because it works for winning trophies. We beat Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, however, unfortunately not in the Europa League this year. Were we in the Conference League? No. But next year, we have just fast-tracked to the Champions League, with Brentford looking to win it, as we could potentially win it in 4 seasons. Despite making profit all the way in this save, as 150 is just extraordinary. As a profit margin, unreal. Coaches have helped us a lot in this, as where the heck is the man that I do want to, well, not replace, but get an equal to, as Nunez. He changes to a right mid, and we're going to look at his stats. Pace and dribbling are his best qualities, so I think we need a winger with decent passing. Below 79 rated now, above 74 passing. Should be findable. As per Harris is also here as well, and he's gone on to the winger approach, which I don't know if I need to actually change this lineup. It's done brilliantly. Or should I say tactics, sorry, as Gustavo Nunez changes. Our bench is still just as strong as the first team, as Pinnock could be a player we actually try and replace a defender with low defending. But then again, below 70 is the signing we have to make unless we do try something with Christopher Ayer and we change him to a centre-back. I'm going to skip 2 weeks to see how he does, and then we can reevaluate some positions, as we've got 246 million. The board are giving us the profit despite me not wanting to spend over 30. I wanted this to be a challenge, which is a challenge you guys can do in videos yourselves, or just in challenges on FC26. As comment below, should I do this with a League 2 club, or abroad, or anything, as finishing a Champions League place, win the FA Cup, and reach the Champions League final? That's steep. For Keith Andrews' expectations, as I am going to go for the right mid first, and I am going to still look young. We need a passer, and this time we can check the rest of the world, because Adam Karabek of Sparta Prague, 77 passing, 1 lower rated than Nunez, could be a decent backup. And this is something I've wanted to do all the same, because I know the players we've signed have been some kind of well-known faces. This man kind of not, as I'm actually struggling to get him onto the bench. Karabek, I'm going to put ahead of Pert Harris, just because he's a new signing, and the work he's done on Christopher Ayer to an 80 rated at 30. Now, yes, this is a Moneyball save. I've focused on coaching, profit, and getting players better, and I completely forgot to make that change. However, now it allows us to get a bench player below the rating of 80, but probably I'm going to focus on a more defensive defender, as Ayer's going to be a strong lad. That 84 physicality, he's going to be on the field battling, getting in them gritty tackles and winning them headers, but we need a more comfortable defender with actually doing the basics. As Pinnock's kind of not capable, a 70 rated, got a bit too old, and I'm really enjoying at the moment scouting in places I wouldn't usually scouting. So the MLS is going to be next. We've got this man who, if he wasn't above the rating of 81, would have been my choice. He's not got 77 defending. We need better than 77. And we can't find it here in the MLS. We've gone ahead and found Rob Holding, however. An old Arsenal lad, as let's go and check another South American division to try and be smart with these actual signings. And I'm seeing some decent ratings. This is all below the age of 25. Lautaro Rivero, left-footed centre-back, 79 defending and 79 rated. He looks perfect for this team, for the Moneyball fit, for the profit, and this, my friends, is excellent. The player I could have hardly even dreamt of. This may be my favourite rebuild ever. As you can see, the team right here, we've got 90 rated in the defence, and we've just got that cheap defender straight up to an 83. His defending's now at an 85. He's so much better than Ayer, and still we should have made profits despite that. In buying as Goroxtia, it's a shame that some of our players just refusing to work, and neither has Illich, so it's Janelt in to a very strong squad. As you can see, Thiago suspended, but we're on the Premier League menu because I've got some stuff to show you very shortly. After looking at ratings, we've got a 92 Kelleher, 90 rated Van der Berg, like I said, loads of 80 pluses, and we haven't been able to spend over 30 mil on this team, so I'm just amazed we've got it so good. And Kevin Schade, 25 goals, Thiago 22. Then we've got Anthony Malambo, only 24, and part of the Moneyball approach before I arrived here, bringing in Valentin Carboni. As with my coaches, he's grown more. As I've said it, just like I'm in a cringy Christmassy kids film. As you can see, Brentford, we finish second by a point to Chelsea in the Premier League, and we actually don't win the FA Cup, but I think we'll be up there, or maybe not. Maybe Burnley shock us by outscoring us, which seems the only way to actually beat us. And the Carabao were also not in. Liverpool, okay. I think we've never been truly embarrassed in cup competitions outside of season 1, and we have not lost a game in Europe in the league phases of tournaments. Not here, not in the Europa. Keith Andrews just knows how to do it. Our coaches and our players has Atletico Madrid beaten 4-1, that's amazing. As we know how to score goals, we beat Juventus 2-1, and we beat Paris Saint-Germain. I already knew this was coming, checking beforehand, but Brentford, 4 seasons into this save, with the Moneyball approach, reached the Champions League finale, playing that team with players in the team of the year ourselves, no Newcastle players in there, and a team also worth noting, finished 7th in the Premier League this season, showing the Champions League about luck, and they will have Johan Visser, an ex-player. But before we get started, I just do want to look at this team and make sure we pick it properly, as everybody from the bench, apart from the backup goalie, is over 80, and no one in this squad has cost us over 30 million. Just what a team. And we're at the Estadio del Benfica, which is a ground I usually win at, for this UEFA Champions League finale. And we're in this nice kit that Brentford did wear, I believe, when they played against my club, Grimsby Town, in black and white, just like Newcastle are right here. I'm excited for everything in this save, making subs, using the team that we are using right now, and trying to score goals. As I can't believe that's just happened whilst I'm speaking. Vitani Janelt, he's an original. He's one of the players we didn't have to sign, but again, we've not had to spend any money, and we've just done that straight away with Vitali. And look at this strike. He goes around his man in the midfield, and the lucky number 27. He scores a peach of a goal, and I didn't even have to check his shooting stats beforehand. I know we've got a cam as well who can shoot, because that's the reason we signed Carboni. I really want to try this save with a lower down club as well, using a Moneyball tactic, as Lewis Miley, the man who got rounded. A ball towards Joelinton. It is saved. And it is just a tap-in weird goal. But 11 minutes into this finale, Joelinton gets Newcastle level in this all-Premier League clash. A ball from Guimaraes. And a very weird save by our highest-rated Kelleher. It looked a weird one, I'll be honest. Now Yarmouk with the ball around the corner, going into Kevin Schade. Shade's just going to have to go slowly. He passes it into Yarmouk, Carboni, into Janelt. Can we get around here? Gustavo Nunez trying to get instantly level again. Oh, not even level. Back in front. This game's got so many twists and turns. I can't remember what happened a moment ago. Carboni towards Coyote. Jumping for the header, and now Voltemade. No sign of Johan Visser so far, if he's even on the field. What a save, but what a comeback from Newcastle to get themselves into this fixture. And Thiago, the player, has missed the slide. And it's Schade to just run down this left-hand side if he can try and get a ball towards Big Ego Thiago. We entered the tunnel level as Carboni running down this right-hand side, slipping a ball down the line into Gustavo Nunez. Nunez, our lowest rated player in our 11, with a rather poor shot. As a team focused on statistics, I went with his weaker foot. That was great work from Thiago. And now he's going to pass it short into Janelt, who we know can shoot. Yarmouk might be able to as well, you know. He goes through bodies into Bento. Wins ourselves the corner here. I feel momentum's actually building, and we could score if we hit Nathan Collins. So catastrophically close, and I cannot believe we haven't got ourselves in front. As Schade, we know he's scored a lot of goals in the league. He's running through. Nunez, he can lay it off to the fast dribbler who can't get it back in the middle. Igor Thiago feeling very isolated, and Yarmouk to try and run past, getting the ball down the line. We really do need to get ourselves in the lead. It was so quick into the first half. Carboni, is that handball? It is! Penalty given against Malik Thiaw. I think it was all the way. He stuck his hand out when we went for the header, and maybe actually hit his shoulder, but still, we take the penalty. Schade, They've dummied to the right-hand side, so I am going to strike it to the right-hand side. Kevin Schade, who scores the goals. Our two Germans, after a German gave the penalty away, have us in the lead in the Champions League finale. And we don't need a replay on a penalty, really. We just know we have this lead. And Valentin Carboni, that is brilliant running from him. I'm glad I started him over Malambo. That's definitely going to be a foul and a free kick. I'm going to pass short because Janelt, thought was going to be able to shoot. It went into Van der Berg. Give it into Igor Thiago, who's running past his fellow Brazilian. A little bit too quickly for him. And Anthony Gordon into Bruno Guimaraes, a Brazilian. Tackled by, I think, the best player on the field today, Vitani Arnelt. Get out of his way as he gets the pass off into Kevin Schade. If we could kill the game off here with an Igor Thiago goal, it would be magnificent. And I can't believe it. He's actually gave another penalty against Malik Thiaw. A chance to win the Champions League finale, and this one, well, I'm not going to be the nice guy and miss it. I don't think it was a penalty, however. Igor Thiago, 99 power. Going to hammer this down the middle. It's actually just come straight off the bar. That was a perfect chance to go and win this finale, but we still could do it here. It's Gustavo Nunez with a big chance, but 5 minutes left. Vitani Arnelt. He squeezes that through the gap. It's onto Carboni through the legs of Thiaw. He's definitely had a horrible game. As Carboni's got injured, Dal's got injured. Only added time to go. I could try and change this team around, but a brilliant tackle by Kiyode. And when he whacks it out of play, the whistle should be following. And now it has. It took an extra minute. I didn't see it was 3 minutes. I thought it was 2. As a 2-1 win for the Bees of Brentford over Newcastle is brilliant. Only 4 seasons in as well. I do think we try this again with a club lower down in the pyramid. Maybe not of England, as there goes Nathan Collins to lift it here from the start. Gone with the approach. And I'm just very happy. I've really enjoyed it. Looking at stats in FC26, it's something I feel like I've forgotten, especially in career mode. And I would like to do it again. But if you haven't been a fan of this challenge, there is plenty of videos on the channel. So if you do want to subscribe, leave a like and click on one of these.